What's up, good people? We are a few seconds here from going live on YouTube to share something with you. So we'll start off with this video.
Something feels off. You're not quite sure what it is. You can feel the culture drifting, but you don't know what to do about it. More perks won't give you more commitment. More awards programs won't give you more motivation. And while your intentions are in the right place, they're not what's needed. You need a real breakthrough. And one burning question keeps hitting your brain. Are we on the same page?
All right. So for our first video sharing with you, I guess I was told there was no video, only audio, so you got to imagine it. Such is the nature of tech. We practiced and practiced, but that's okay. We'll keep moving forward because there's one thing that we keep hearing from teams over and over, leaders over and over and over, that something's off. Something's not quite right. They maybe don't know exactly how to put their finger on it or to describe it or to put words to it in a way that it just completely hits the target, but they scratch at it in different ways. And maybe it's a part of something that they're embarrassed to say out loud. Something is off and they don't really know how to say that thing that needs to be said. There's an edge that's not there. They don't have the same momentum as a team. They're not as sharp as they used to be. And here's the thing that I would want to encourage you with. If you're leading a project team that's been formed, a large team, any size organization, I think a lot of times as leaders, we're hard on ourselves and we beat ourselves up. And I would just say directly to you, you're not failing. What's happening in that moment is you're looking in the wrong place. And what you want to learn to do as a leader is not be in a spot that you're unaware of what the main issue is. And we've got the chat there available, and let me know if the audio is coming through well. I'd love to hear from you what's coming across. Feel free to comment on things as I'm saying things that resonate with you. And if we get time near the end, we'll do Q&A. But it's not that you're failing. It's that you're looking in the wrong place. And so what we want to learn to do as leaders is be the kind of leaders who know exactly where to look with what's happening and what's going on. Now, there's a show that's hit the scene that's been pretty huge lately called The Pit. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on HBO. For those that are fans of the show, and it's attracted a lot of fans, they've said it's just really realistic to emergency room departments. And there was one scene where I set it up for you, and I'm going to read directly from the transcript of the show because it's just so powerful. There was a 4th of July shift in this Pittsburgh trauma emergency room. And as this episode was playing out, the nurses, you just got to know, are understaffed, they're underpaid, and they're still showing up. One of them, Dana, she's the charge nurse, so she's the one that's in charge, was actually in a previous season punched by a patient in the face. She didn't press charges. She just came back to work. Now, into this reality, this 4th of July trauma center, everything's going crazy, and they're having to take patients from another emergency department because there was something going on at that hospital into that scene of them being in danger, of them being underpaid, of them being completely overwhelmed. The hospital administration, the upper floor, sends donuts. And the attending physician, his name's Robbie, he walks over to the nurse's station carrying a box. And I'm going to read right from the transcript to you. Robbie, your good friends upstairs sent donuts. Special thank you for working the holiday. Dana, the charge nurse, you got to be kidding me. He goes, what were you expecting, tacos and tequila? And then she responds this way: every single one of them can forget about extra shifts. They won't hire more nurses. They won't pay us a decent wage. They won't hire security that can actually protect us from patients, but absolutely send donuts. And they don't let the moment just die there. At one point, she's in the room and she rips down in the break room a thing about the donuts. Because here's what happens when leaders don't know the real issue, and so they can't address the real issue, they substitute it with a gesture. And the sad reality of what we see over and over, being connected to over 100 organizations over 300 organizations over the last decade, we have seen this issue at play. And so what we're doing today is diving right into the pain of what we call drift. It's the pain of drift. We see it in all kinds of places. Now, just zoom out with me for a minute. If you take a car and you go park it in the middle of the woods and you just leave it unattended, what happens to that car? The law of entropy. It starts to break down and it won't run. And you can go out to that car with rusted paint and an engine that doesn't work, and you can put a new coat of paint on it. You could put it in one of the new cool gray, off blue colors, right? That all the cars are getting now. But that car is still not going to work. I mean, mountains themselves over time erode because of the law of entropy. And this is exactly what's at work in teams and in organizations. It's this pernicious drift. It's inevitable. It's insidious. It's invisible. And we don't see it, but we feel it. For a lot of us as leaders, leading a project team, a large organization, a large team, a small team, anything, you know it. At 3 a.m., you're laying there in the bed and your mind is just turning over everything. And yes, at 3 a.m., you're catastrophizing it. You're thinking the worst thoughts you could think about the situation, the worst thoughts about your leadership, the self-doubt's just huge, the worst thoughts about the circumstances. And a good night's rest, maybe some exercise, a good breakfast, you've got a sounder mind about whatever is happening in that catastrophization. But the nugget is real. There's something intuitive in you that you know something's off. You know the drift is occurring. And so we see drift in terms of not being on the same page. I'm thinking of an organization that we were working with where all the project managers were basically running their own small business. And corporate pressure was just close more deals, close more deals, close more deals. And I remember one of the project managers saying to me, "Are we just trying to get all these jobs that we can, even if there's not enough profit in it?" They weren't all on the same page of what the real focus was. You may hear this in teams. They may not state it directly, but if you put words to the feeling, it's like, have we lost our way? Do we still have the same amount of focus that we did before? Or maybe it's a drift in terms of identity. Like we really don't know who we are anymore. Do we need to return to who we are? Are we trying to become something new? Are we distorting ourselves or deforming ourselves? We could think about one area of drift being not being on the same page. I think another area of drift you can think of is not working on the right things. We worked with one organization that was closing contracts and rewarding the service provider financially for closing the contract. But oftentimes what was happening, they would close the contract and then it would be a 7x investment on the company to be able to actually fulfill that contract. So they're losing 6 times what was invested, and they're paying the service provider a benefit, all because their model was broken. And we see that in teams. I mean, how many of us know today you can work so hard as an individual or as a team, but work on the wrong things? You're not actually pulling the right levers. You're not moving the things that make the organization substantially transform and change and be effective. And the question I just sit with teams and wonder to myself, do they know what the main thing is? And is the main thing still the main thing? I mean, in an age like we live in today with all of the noise, I mean, as much as we can think about tools that are powerful like AI, you also could work on 100 wrong things. You can now iterate strategic plans endlessly. You can run off in 100 different directions. So we see this second area of drift just being so painful when we're not working on the right things. And a third area of drift that we see is relationships not improving. I remember with one team, a leader saying their kid said to them, "I wish I had a work mom and a home mom. And I wish you were the home mom so you could stay and be home with me, and work mom could go to work and earn the money that needs to be earned so we would be okay." I mean, that's just an intense thing to hear. One organization, I remember them saying, "We used to go out and get beers and celebrate when someone was having a kid, and we don't do that anymore." I mean, I've been married 25 years, and if I said to my wife, "I told you I love you when we got married, I don't need to keep telling you," that would be terrible, because connection has to renew and it has to deepen. And so we hear this from teams, we're not as connected as we used to be. We used to do this, but we don't do this anymore. I like to ask, what's your favorite memories here? And when their favorite memories are off in the distance, you can hear how these organizations start to grow, but the team starts to distance themselves. The revenue increases, but the connective tissue of the team decreases. We're actually growing apart as a team. You hear this in the way that they word it. They'll say our team likes each other, but there's a wondering about how committed are we to each other? Can we really get in there and pull together on the right things, deepening our relationships? A lot of times you see this in organizations that have lots of meetings. We're talking endlessly about so many different things, but are we talking about the right things? So when you look at this drift, it's painful. You get these clues and signals that it's happening. And what do we see so many teams and organizations do? To all this drift, they just add more noise. And again, they're not trying. Leaders who are making decisions about things to try to change or improve this feeling of drift that they feel, they're not trying to work against the team or the organization, but they just end up doing it. I mean, you think about how we have so much noise coming at us today. So many things, so many channels. And so often the brain now is being conditioned to be so easily distracted that the main thing isn't even coming through. I look at how organizations grow. We see this all the time. As organizations grow and develop, you'll start to see people that really know how to honor the past, and they want to protect and guard the past. They want to conserve the past, but they don't understand organizations that are healthy have to conserve the past and progress into the future. And so they'll say things like, "We're becoming too corporate." Hey, by the way, if you hear that around your team or your company, that's not a compliment. They're not saying that in a praiseworthy way. "We're becoming so corporate." Or oftentimes, if you hear it that direct, that's a gift, because now you know something that's happening. More often than not, they're just pushing against things that are coming their way because they're resisting it. Now, I have to believe, for the people that would be interested and pay attention and be listening and watching this, you want to advance your organization. I mean, there was a difference when my daughter played in soccer at 4 years old. It wasn't very organized. As the age progressed, the organization of the team progressed. And as it progressed, there would be people that were getting specific roles and responsibilities, and they were developing certain skills. There's a completely different professionalism from a group of 4 and 5-year-olds playing soccer for the first time and an NFL team. There's so many layers of professionalism that advance in that kind of comparison. And too many teams and organizations don't know how to answer drift in a professional way. They answer it just with adding more corporate junk. And then the way we try to fix relationships, right? We're not as tight as we used to be. Everybody's sacrificed. Let's give donuts to the emergency room department. Let's throw a pizza party on Friday for all the sacrifice. And again, I don't think a leader is sitting there and saying, "I want to do something that makes our drift worse. I want to take us into some kind of performative dumb theater that's going to take us down this pathway that's going to actually keep us from working on what's most substantial. All of us being on these different pages, we're going to get on the same page if we have this pizza party, if we just send longer memos. I don't think somebody's trying to make the situation worse by doing that, because they're doing the best that they can. I see this in 360-degree reviews. I mean, how many of you have really ever had your life changed by a 360-degree review? Someone is commenting on your leadership from their temperament. And their temperament overvalues and undervalues certain things. And without awareness, most leaders are going to try to make you in their image rather than having some kind of healthy template to help you become your best. They're not aware enough of their own insecurities to actually give you feedback. I see this in the gimmicky offsites. Okay, something's off with the team. So I know what we're going to do. We're going to hire an ex-Navy SEAL. He's going to come in and they're going to do a 2-day retreat with us. And we're going to carry a giant log on our shoulders and run around and sweat together. And that's going to fix the issue. Like when I've had a fight with one of my young adult daughters and I've ever been in the kitchen and I put my hand on their shoulder and say, you know what companies do when they have relational issues? They do trust falls. Let's just do a trust fall right now. And that's going to fix everything. You know that's silly. You know that doesn't work. You know that doesn't produce transformation. Yet we do these things. Yeah. Does a company need to have healthy systems, organizational and meeting systems, EOS, scaling up, whatever company scaling or meeting system you use? We need this ERP, this enterprise resource planning software tool. Look, all of those things can be good and helpful, but finding a perfect tool doesn't fix drift. Once drift is fixed, these tools can help, but I see a lot of people just addicted to whatever is the next system, whatever is the next tool. Doesn't work. I'll tell you another thing that doesn't work: waiting. We see teams and organizations think this: we're just going to wait this drift out. If we wait long enough, if we just keep going, this is going to course correct itself. And when does the car parked out in the middle of the woods ever renew its internal engine? It doesn't happen. The problem isn't that you need to wait. The problem is, as we've seen with teams, you just don't know where to look. And so we want to help with that. And so breakthrough is possible for your teams if you know where to look. And what a lot of people don't know is where to look. I want you to think about and imagine with me Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was an amazing movie, set of movies, the first 3, based on the book. The book's incredible. At whatever level you feel like some epic story has captured your imagination, it's almost like it's the Odyssey or the Iliad of our time. And there's a moment in Lord of the Rings at the beginning of the story where Elrond, this chief elf, calls this council, and all the free peoples of Middle-earth are coming together, their leaders, their representatives, to figure out what they've got to do about the great evil in the world. Now, thankfully, we don't live in a world where there's great evil. Wink, wink, right? You can watch the news for about 30 seconds and start to really realize there is evil around us. And it's insidious, and it's direct, and it's overt, and it creeps into people's hearts and minds. And the larger a team or an organization gets, the more you get insecure leaders in there who are leading for their own validation. These insecure leaders ruin the world. They create a dog-eat-dog environment. People are taking credit for things that they didn't do. They're shifting blame for things that they did do. They're jockeying for position. All of this is happening. And in this movie, Lord of the Rings, what's so powerful is they're at a moment where they need a breakthrough. They need a before and after experience that shifts everything. And so what does the wise wizard do? Gandalf. He shows up, gets this council of Elrond together and says, here's what we need to do. No, he actually starts going through a timeline, millennia, letting them feel the weight of the problem. Why? so that this whole world, Middle Earth, could stop drifting and they could have a breakthrough. And as he leads them through this moment, you start to see the reactions people have. These are the reactions that happen in your teams. Somebody who's really activistic and action-oriented. Before the breakthrough is really clear, it's Gimli who's like runs up to the ring and swings his axe down on it and it shatters, because brute force doesn't fix drift. Another one speaks up and he's like, we should use this power. And he's stuck in the past, Boromir. We've got to protect our ability to watch over and guard. The word was used as a steward. And so we should take, this is a person who is, when the breakthrough needs to occur, they're not running to action, they're running to the past. Let's just do what we did before. Hey, that got you here, but it doesn't get you there. Cheesy cliche, but true. And then there's the people who are just in the room and want to see everybody get along. Good-hearted, but really don't understand how vision works. And you can feel the pregnancy of this moment building and building and building. And finally, what happens? Someone steps up with a vision. And it's Frodo. And Frodo, this unlikely character, steps forward, like would happen in some of your teams and organizations, when someone unlikely is a vehicle of truth, and they come forward, and he comes forward and says, you know what? I'll take the ring to Mordor so it can be destroyed. I'll be the one. Elrond and Gandalf look at each other. They know what this means. This sacrifice that he's going to make. There's no vision accomplished without sacrifice. He'll never be the same again. That's what's coming, and that's what's happening. A breakthrough moment occurs. And the rest of the storyline is built on that breakthrough moment. I want you to hold that in your heart, because epic stories play out in ways that we can completely understand. You can lead your team to a breakthrough, and we're spending so much time together in work. Why wouldn't we want to pursue a mission together that makes our lives better? Why wouldn't we want to pursue a mission together that changes us and transforms us? Why wouldn't we want to pursue a mission worthy of all of this time, effort, and energy? You can lead your team to a breakthrough if you know where to look. And so I'm really excited to tell you, we made something. We made something from really over the 12 plus years. We've been actively working with leaders, teams, and organizations. For the 5+ years, we've been intentionally taking them through a process on culture to demystify the breakthrough moment, to make it simple and straightforward. And so we call it the Culture Impact Script. This is it. The SightShift Culture Impact Script. This is how you lead your team through a breakthrough moment. We put so much heart and soul into this because we know this. At the top level, if a team can really understand what is the main pain that they need to face, that they want to avoid more than anything else, and if they can learn how that aligns with their sense of meaning and purpose, and if they can express that in a way that captures the imagination of the organization, this is going to be more powerful than video games, than porn, than gambling, than anything, office gossip, hallway, sideways energy from, did you hear about they got fired and they're moving here and they're doing this? This top part of it takes a team right to the vision they need to have. This middle part takes them to the action they need to take as a result of this. Now, there's a tension that's built into this, because if you just rush into the moment, the reason the Lord of the Rings scene resonates so much is because you couldn't just force this. This is why Tolkien was so brilliant the way he wrote the scene. It had to develop. It had to unfold. So people had ownership. So many business owners we meet with, they want everyone to have an owner's mindset. They're not going to have an owner's mindset if they're not an owner, but they need ownership of what's happening. So we develop this so that very thing would occur. And here at this middle part, when you walk through this culture impact script, everyone collectively comes together on, these are the actions we need to take, and this is who we'll become in taking those actions. See, that's what gets me excited. When we can get locked in on a vision, that transforms us and makes us something better than we've ever been before. It takes us to this third piece where we walk through how does this deepen and renew our relationships with each other. I mean, too many organizations don't realize how much they've drifted into confusion because there's not a vision that everyone's locked in on. Too many organizations don't realize how much they've drifted into resistance because people can't make sense of the change in terms of this is how I become better through the change. And too many organizations are drifting into conflict because the pursuit of the mission isn't renewing the relationship, but it's surfacing the insecurities that keep them embattled and becoming a worse version of who they are. And so we made a thing. We made a thing born out of years of experience, based on ancient wisdom, built for a modern world to get a sense of this is the breakthrough moment we need so we don't drift anymore. This is what answers the 3 a.m. wake-up call. It precisely and accurately defines what's going on and what needs to be done. How can I say that? Well, it's driven by data. It's not something that is an intuitive whimsy of whatever someone else is feeling. It's in the data that you can see the responses people are bringing to the vision, resisting change, to whether relationships are deepening or not, is directly connected to how they show up under pressure. So it's built on data, A. B, it's built on ancient wisdom. That's why I can say this. If you follow the culture impact script, breakthrough will happen. Now, let me just illustrate this with you for just a few scenes from different movies that are going to help you lock in on how powerful this is. I've already used Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, they had their moment. Of course, Sam and Frodo still had to have their own moment when they recommitted to the vision and pursuing to the ends of the earth the destruction of this ring. It was one of the darkest, deepest moments when they had lost heart. And Sam says to Frodo, they're going to write stories about us one day because of the depth of this struggle and how they were leaning into this pain. But it's also some of my favorite movies. Rocky IV, when I was a kid. You still went to the movie store and rented movies. And after school, if we had a good week, and I don't even remember what the reward was, we could rent movies. And for like 15 weekends in a row, I rented Rocky IV. I couldn't get enough of it. And I would get chills on that moment when Rocky's standing in front of the whole room after he's already been fueled by vengeance to take out this Russian because he killed my friend. And then he says through his marred face, Hollywood style, of course, if I can change and you can change, we all can change. It was a breakthrough moment for him that led to a breakthrough moment for the whole room, for two nations, even though as a 5th or 6th grader, it still stirred up hate for Russia. That was the narrative arc of the times, but it was powerful. I'd get chills. I've gotten chills watching The Pit. I've teared up at moments, not in the ones you'd think. I mean, there are moments that are really touching and heartfelt as they deal with social issues in the emergency department. These real life stories of people's physical suffering in the emergency room, but those aren't the moments that give me chills and make me tear up. It's the moment when the doctor is in the room and there's complete chaos and someone has the vision and they lead and it translates to the right action. And then there's a deeper connection to the patient as they help save their life. And there's a deeper connection to them as a medical staff as they work closer together. I don't mind being who I am. It's weird as I can imagine it, that those are the moments I'm tearing up on because I'm watching someone lead so effectively and not allow drift to be the main story. It was Remember the Titans when I saw that movie in the theater. You know, this whole scene has developed where there's this racism and it's showing up in the team. And like awesome breakthrough moments, it can't be the coaches telling them what to do. The team has to own the moment and leaders on the team have to own the moment. And how the movie plays out, it is someone on the team who starts reaching across the aisle, so to speak, in terms of this racism and developing a commitment to each other so that they can live the vision, win the football, and have deeper relationships. I watched the movie and I was so fired up by this breakthrough moment they had. My wife and I just got married, and I said, half jokingly, hey, I want to stay married, but I want to go back to high school and play football. Because that breakthrough moment was so powerful. It was so touching. It was so clear. It was so poignant. Over and over and over again, you can take your favorite movies, your favorite stories. You can start to see, as you learn the anatomy of a breakthrough moment, how these are so touching to you. Or it might be your favorite movie or book where the breakthrough moment is missed, and then the devastation and the disrepair happens. We see that happen in teams and organizations. Drift is real. It's pernicious and it's insidious. And it gets everyone working off of their own agendas, different pages. They're working on the wrong things. Relationships fall into disrepair. And the anatomy of a breakthrough moment is just understanding this. When you step into the tension of the pain you want to avoid, and the answer to that pain as a rallying cry, a picture, a mental image, a metaphor that gives us purpose and meaning, and it leads to us transforming and becoming as we take action, which deepens the connection to the client, the customer, the team, everyone. It makes the world a better place. That ain't cheesy. It's what we need more than ever. That's a breakthrough moment. And these moments are being served up to us all the time in small and big ways. You'll never be the kind of leader you need to be as in leading a project team, a large organization, the team you lead, if you don't learn how to recognize these moments. Now, here's just 3 quick stories from moments where we've helped organizations recognize their breakthrough. And if you listen to these, you'll find yourself in one of them. I'm thinking of an organization. And as I met with the CEO and I asked him, what's it like right now leading your team or your organization? He ripped off a mental picture that was negative. We're spinning our wheels in the mud. It feels like we're just spinning our wheels in the mud. Isn't that great? It's visual, it's clear, it's honest, it's powerful, it's acknowledging pain. Well, if you have that as the mental visual picture in your head and you start leading the team or organization that way, how does that bleed into the way you communicate? There's a frustration there. There's an irritation there. There's a consternation there. And out of that, you will speak. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mind, you then give words to reality as you perceive it. And so we help them shift out of confusion, into a clear picture that they could all rally around. And as they recognized the mindset that needed to shift to the challenge they had as owners and as a leadership team, they were able to build their organization to the next level and get acquired. And it was life-changing. A second story comes to mind. A services company we were working with. And the owner had an identity where he was relating to the organization with a structure that kept them stuck. And as he started to realize that structure and how he related to the organization, he shifted dramatically to invite people into that ownership structure and created something in his industry that doesn't exist. What did it lead to? An engaged leadership team that was ready to go and help carry the load with him to transform the organization. And at the time we tracked it, a $2 million ROI because they walked through their breakthrough moment. They didn't just stay in the drift. They learned where to look. I'm thinking of a third organization, a couple $100 million company, and walking through their breakthrough moment led them to say this: we are 5 years further down the road in the connectedness of our organization and our team. 5 years further down the road. Like, this is the thing that's so crazy to me. We live in an age where there's more knowledge and information than ever before, but less wisdom. You can go find tons of things to create a bunch of noise for your team or your organization. We're talking about real signal here. One guy's coming to mind that when we helped him build a deep connection to his leadership team and the rest of the organization over a 5-year period, added $20 billion of revenue. Look, these are all case studies on our website. You can go read more about them. You can go find how they found their breakthrough moment when we help them learn where to look. And the reason we're so excited to say, Eureka, we did it. We have the culture impact script. Is because we can help you with the same breakthrough. You can learn to do it over and over and over again. And wherever you find yourself, you're leading a large team, it's a new project team, it's your first quarter, and we're already now near the end of February, and things aren't where you thought they were. Before you select your rocks for EOS, wherever you find yourself, your organization's rhythm, you need a breakthrough. It could be an immediate pressing moment because you feel the drift, and now you have some words for it. Wherever you find yourself. Now, I know there's always people we hear this. Hey, we just don't have time. We're so busy. We don't have time. Real things done in a masterful way shouldn't require a ton of time. A breakthrough moment shouldn't require 6 months of wandering, 2 years of wandering. It should be able to be done in an afternoon, in a morning, in a few hours, as you walk through this experience we've designed. Now, I know there are also people that say, well, I can't get the whole team there. It's hard to get everybody together because the way their organization's structured or, remote hybrid, all this stuff. Look, I get it. Get who you can there. And if you're the boss, you can make that happen. You say, well, we got to transition. We got somebody changing on the leadership team. Someone's going off. I know someone's coming on. Yeah. Do you want them to come into an environment of drift? Or do you want them to come in an environment that is locked in? Because I can tell you this, very often how you start with a team member is how it'll end with them. You say, well, we're in a place that I think we're going to be hiring these 2 or 3 new people, and I want to wait till then. There's never going to be a perfect time. So who is this culture breakthrough for? Who is it for to go through this culture impact script? It's for people that feel stuck or off track in their team or their organization. It's a new project team that's formed and you want to start off on the right foot. It's for a large company. It's for a small company. It's for a team in change. There's a lot of transition happening. It's a team in crisis. It's a team in celebration. You've taken the hill and there's so much to celebrate and you're a championship team. But how do you do it again? If it were easy to win championships on repeat, every sports team would want to do this on demand. It's not easy. I'll tell you who it's not for. It's not for the people who think, I just need to throw more dumb theater at this problem. Look, if you want to go sink a lot of money into those kind of things, be my guest. Have they produced culture transformations? Have they produced culture breakthroughs? Have they produced a before and after experience? It's what we see is possible. And I think so many leaders, they can't lead towards this because it's hard to imagine something you've never seen. I mean, if I tried to describe to you a beautiful, amazing dish and you've never tasted that food before, you can't just imagine what it tastes like. It's as you taste it, you see what's possible. And so the good news is this: you can lead your team to breakthrough if you know where to look. Breakthrough moments don't happen by chance. They can be predictable. They can be designed, and you can have one. You can have one that's for the ages, like Lord of the Rings, like Remember the Titans, like Rocky IV. And sadly, the best storyteller is going to win. And if the best storyteller in your world is how bad the world is and how broken things are and how it'll never be different, it's going to win in your mind. And if you've never experienced a team deep in unity, where everyone is an individual, but they're a part of a collective whole, not uniformity that's forced, it's hard for you to know what's possible. If you've never experienced a team going through dramatic shifts in their behavior, truly becoming someone that they weren't a year ago, it's hard for you to imagine that's possible. And if you've never felt the joy of a pursuit, a mission that calls on you for all of who you are, that captures your imagination, in a way that makes your blood boil in a good way and your heart quicken. It's hard for you to imagine, but it is possible. And here's what I know. I don't want to be 75 years old, 27 years from now, sitting in a cafe, sipping coffee, hanging out with friends and go, man, we built a lot of PowerPoint decks over our life, didn't we? We got really good at that. We built thousands of slides. Man, we got that really dialed in for that strategic plan, didn't we? Hey, look, all these things can be good and matter, but they're not the heart of the matter. I want to be a part of a team, of teams, my family, my marriage, the organizations I'm a part of. I want to be a part of an experience where we break through. And we don't just do it once, we do it on repeat as needed. So here's the invitation. For those of you that want it, you can go to Culture Impact Script, cultureimpactscript.com. One phrase. And that's your invitation. If you would, like me, like to be looking back, having been on missions and quests that called out your absolute best and captured your imagination and transformed you and led to deepening, life-changing relationships, that's your invitation. Go to cultureimpactscript.com. We want to connect with you and help you learn how to take 9 questions, 1 page, 1 experience. So no matter what forces of drift we're facing, we can all get on the same page. I hope to see you there. As I hang around for a few moments, for those of you that are here, feel free to throw in the chat any questions you have. I'm going to hang around for a few more minutes. What stood out to you from today? What makes the most sense? What you connected with? And guess what? I'm not ideologically sensitive or allergic. I welcome protest, pushback, anything that you want to jam on. And we'll take a few moments here and interact with whatever shows up in the chat. Right on, Chris. So many gimmicks out there. And whew, is it easier to sell a gimmick than transformation? Because it's how people think. So throw in the chat, what stood out to you today? A thought or a question or anything you want to jam on. And we'll make a few moments for this. How similar is drift in a workplace to drift in a marriage? Thanks for the question. Brilliant. And one of the things I said is this is based on ancient wisdom. So the only 3 things that a culture can be built on that matters is faith, hope, and love. Faith is a vision of a future that is not yet real, but can be real. Hope isn't a wished for thing, like I'm going to flip a coin and go, ooh, I hope this happens. When this is used in the New Testament, faith, hope, and love, the word hope is used for real substantive change that you make because of this unseen picture that is not yet real. And then, of course, love. Love is the point of it all. So all of what I said applies to marriage in this way. You're trying to take your marriage to a place that is an unseen reality, that 2 people are going to sacrifice their insecurities and serve each other. They're going to be transformed through the changes, right? Somebody says in a marriage, oh, you've changed. Well, we're all always changing, good or bad. And then it's going to result in a deeper love. And what's crazy to me is stats have shown going to marriage counseling has a greater chance that your marriage is going to end in divorce than not going. Now, why would that be? Because oftentimes what happens in marriage counseling, and I know there have been people that have been helped by it, so don't spare me the exceptions. Oftentimes what ends up happening is you end up taking on a victim mindset and over nursing the wounds that have gotten this relationship to where it is. And so that ends up being something gimmicky. It's like a 360-degree review. You're only getting the temperament of that counselor, not a real template-based model. And so all of this would absolutely apply in the same way. If you took your marriage and said, through our script, what's the vision of where we're headed? It's going to be based on what's the pain we need to face? What do we get out of it as we embrace this pain? How do we see ourselves being transformed and living our purpose? And how do we give it a good word picture, something that we can rally together often? So, and the rest of I could run through the other 6 and how they apply to a marriage. So what I'm doing very often in our marriage now at this phase, and I've done it differently at other phases, is because my kids are young adults, I will paint pictures with my wife. Imagine us watching our grandkids, right? And I'm painting out a picture that calls us to a greater future. And of course, I'm a dumb man, and sometimes I lead for validation more than impact, and I get insecure, and I do all the stupid things, and I talk about that in lots of other ways, but absolutely similar. Let me know if there's a follow-up question to that. If you have one, I'm happy to interact around that. So what stood out to you today? Throw that in the chat. Throw a question in the chat. I'll hang around a few more minutes. All right. Going once, going twice. Hey, thanks for being here. If you thought this was helpful, and a couple more came through, so let me hit that real quick. By the way, I'll tee this up. If you thought this was helpful, let me know in the chat if you want us to do more things like this. But I relate a lot to not being able to get all leaders on the same page. Yeah, it's so hard to do that, which is why you want to have a compelling picture of the future, because when it's painted out as a metaphor and an image, it actually relaxes the prefrontal cortex. Left and right brain get in synthesis, and then the mind is relaxed to be more creative about the action they can take, which is the second part of the culture impact script. So that's cool. Yeah, loved this. Awesome. That's so encouraging. Born out of a lot of hard learnings. Definitely would like more. Cool. And especially on the marriage one, go to the Culture Impact Script page, and there's ways you can sign up on the wait list for events we'll do. And I would love to jam with you more and help apply this in marriage. There's a way that you can connect through the page and get a meeting with me, and happy to do that. I want to be of service. All right. Any other thoughts or questions? Do more, please. Thank you, Chris. Awesome. What's funny is I've never gone live on YouTube before, so I'll tell you guys this real quick. I was testing it out last week, and I accidentally went live, just trying to test it out. And so a couple friends messaged me. They were like, "I'm watching." And I'm like, "Oh, wait, whoops. Glad I didn't pick my nose too much." Cool. All right. Any other thoughts, questions, or comments? I'll hang tight for just a second in case there's a delay on the chats coming through. Jake, awesome to have you here, man. Great to have you, and hopefully this was helpful. Yeah, I would love to get together again. It feels like to identify drift, there also has to be a truly established vision or mission. Yeah, that's a great point. You don't have to start with an established mission in the sense that plenty of organizations haven't yet come to theirs. And it's a little bit like I was using the Lord of the Rings example. You don't have to have one to know the drift is there, because the drift is so pernicious. But what I would say is this: if drift is there before there's a established communal vision, it's because the individual drift is eating everybody up. So they're not living out their own unique purpose. Oh, thank you for the encouragement. Yes. Okay. Well, we'll have to do that. We'll do more. That'll be the plan. All right, friends. Hey, thank you for being here. I hope everybody has an awesome rest of the day, and encouraged to be with you. May we be the kind of leaders who recognize the drift and learn to recognize the breakthrough moment and lead ourselves and lead others through it well. Peace out, everybody.